The Blues thought they were flying high after beating Spurs. Then they took a 5,000-mile trip to Azerbaijan and got a reality check they'll never forget. Hey Chelsea fans, what's going on guys? Welcome back to another breakdown. Before we dive into this absolute roller coaster of a match, drop a comment below and let us know where you're watching from. And if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button because trust me, you're going to want to stick around for this one. This is going to hurt, but we got to talk about it. Lesson 1, this was not the Chelsea we saw last weekend. Let's be real here. What on earth happened to the team that absolutely dominated Tottenham just days ago? Because the Chelsea side that showed up in Baku looked like they'd never met each other before kickoff. The match ended in a frustrating 2-2 draw, but honestly, it could have been worse. The Blues looked shaky, disjointed, and completely unlike the confident squad that made Spurs look like a Sunday league team. Despite an early lead through Estevao's impressive strike, Chelsea couldn't maintain control and were forced to fight back in the second half. It's like the team left their mojo back in London. The passing was sloppy, the defending was all over the place, and there was zero chemistry. One week you're world beaters, the next you're being held by a team most fans couldn't even find on a map before this season. Football, hey? It's a mad game. Your turn. Do you think the long journey to Azerbaijan affected the team's performance? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Lesson 2. Hato endured an absolute nightmare. Look, we all have bad days at the office. But mate, Hato's performance in Baku was the stuff of nightmares, and not just for him, but for every Chelsea fan watching. For Qarabag's equalizer, Hato lingered on the ball near his own box and was dispossessed by Camilo Duran, who shot rebounded off the post before Leandro Andrade volleyed in the rebound. That's mistake number 1. But wait, there's more. Minutes later, Hato tried to block a cross, but the ball struck his arm, and the referee pointed to the spot. Marko Janovic stepped up and converted the penalty to give Qarabag a 2-1 lead. 2 mistakes, 2 goals, all within about 10 minutes. That's what you call a horror show. Chelsea fans didn't hold back on social media, with one supporter describing it as an absolute stinker of a game, and another stating bluntly, Hato is living in a nightmare. The 19-year-old Dutch defender looked completely out of his depth, and you could see his confidence draining with every passing minute. Listen, the kid is young and talented, but this was brutal. He's got to learn from this because Champions League football doesn't forgive mistakes like that. The question is, can he bounce back? Your turn. Should Maresca have started Hato at center back, or was this asking too much of a 19-year-old in such a crucial match? Let us know what you think. Lesson 3. The Romeo Lavia injury curse continues. Right, this one genuinely breaks my heart. Just as we thought Romeo Lavia was finally turning a corner with his fitness issues, football decided to kick us where it hurts again. Just after 6 minutes in the match against Qarabag, Lavia limped off the pitch and was replaced by Moises Caicedo. 6 minutes! The lad barely had time to break a sweat before his body said, nope, not today. This marks his 9th injury since joining Chelsea in 2023. Think about that for a second. 9 injuries in just over 2 years. The Belgian midfielder cost Chelsea close to £60 million, and he spent more time in the treatment room than on the pitch. It's absolutely devastating for everyone involved, the player, the club, and us fans. After the match, Maresca said, "It's a shame for him. He is not able to be fit for a long period, so we will see. It is too early to understand what kind of injury. We hope it is not a big injury. I think it is quad." The worst part, Maresca had been trying to manage Lavia's minutes carefully, giving him controlled game time to avoid exactly this kind of situation. But despite all the precautions, his body just keeps letting him down. You can see the frustration written all over his face every time it happens. At some point, some tough conversations are going to happen about his future at the club. Your turn. Is it time for Chelsea to cut their losses with Lavia, or should they stick by him and hope he can finally overcome these injury problems? This is a tough one. Tell us what you'd do if you were running the club. Lesson 4. Maresca's rotation policy has gone too far. Okay, here's where things get controversial, but we've got to talk about it. Enzo Maresca loves to rotate his squad, we all know that, but against Qarabag, it felt like he took it way too far, and Chelsea paid the price.
The Italian manager made wholesale changes to the team, and not just one or two tweaks. We're talking about a completely different lineup from the side that beat Spurs. Chelsea fielded one of their youngest ever Champions League starting lineups with an average age of just 23 years and 97 days, the second youngest starting 11 by an English club in an outweight Champions League match. Now, don't get me wrong, giving youngsters a chance is great, but there's a time and place for everything. Starting Hato as a center back when he's barely played there? Starting Tyreek George as a striker when you've got other options? Resting key players against a Qarabag side that had already beaten Benfica and Copenhagen? Those are some seriously risky calls. Qarabag weren't some pushover team. They came into this match with confidence, momentum, and genuine quality. They deserved respect, and Maresca's team selection almost seemed to underestimate them. And guess what? They made Chelsea pay for it. Look, I get it. There's a long season ahead and squad management is crucial, but you can't just throw together 11 players and expect them to gel instantly, especially in the Champions League. There needs to be some consistency, some core group that plays together regularly. Otherwise, you get exactly what we saw in Baku: confusion, lack of chemistry, and dropped points. Your turn. Do you think Maresca was right to rotate so heavily, or should he have fielded a stronger side? Was it disrespectful to Qarabag, or just smart squad management? Let's debate this in the comments. Lesson 5. Estevao continues to shine bright. Alright, let's talk about something positive for a minute, yeah? Because amidst all the chaos and disappointment, one player absolutely stood head and shoulders above everyone else: Estevao William. The 18-year-old Brazilian opened the scoring with an impressive goal in the 17th minute, cutting onto his left foot from a tight angle before firing a low strike past the goalkeeper. But the goal itself was just part of the story. Estevao became the only South American player to score in consecutive Champions League matches while aged 18 or under. Let that sink in. Not just any South American player, the only one. Not Neymar, not Messi at that age, Estevao. That's the level we're talking about here. The kid is absolutely special. He's got flair, confidence, technical ability, and most importantly, the mentality to perform on the biggest stages. While everyone else around him was crumbling under pressure, Estevao was out there playing like he owned the place. He looked dangerous every time he touched the ball, taking on defenders, creating chances, and showing exactly why Chelsea paid big money to bring him over from Palmeiras. If there's one major positive to take from this disappointing night in Azerbaijan, it's that Chelsea have found a genuine superstar in the making. The future looks bright with this kid in blue. Your turn. How highly do you rate Estevao? Is he already Chelsea's best young talent, or do you think others like Palmer, when fit, are still ahead of him? Give us your rankings. Lesson 6. Alejandro Garnacho saved Chelsea's blushes. Just when it looked like Chelsea were heading for a disastrous defeat in Baku, stepped forward Alejandro Garnacho, the super sub who refused to let his team go down without a fight. Garnacho came on at halftime as part of a triple substitution, and within 7 minutes of the restart, he fired Chelsea level with a composed left-footed finish. The Argentine showed exactly why Maresca brought him on, injecting energy, directness, and most importantly, goals into Chelsea's attack. With his strike, Garnacho became the first player to score in the Champions League for 2 Premier League clubs before the age of 21. A pretty impressive achievement when you think about it. He's already made his mark at Manchester United in this competition, and now he's doing it for Chelsea. The way Garnacho took his goal showed real composure and quality. His initial pass attempt to Liam Delap didn't work out, but the ball fell back to him, and instead of panicking, he drove into the box and fired a low shot past the goalkeeper. That's the sign of a player with confidence and quality. Without Garnacho's intervention, we'd be sitting here talking about a humiliating defeat instead of a disappointing draw. Sometimes you need your impact players to actually make an impact. And fair play to the lad. He delivered when Chelsea needed him most. Should Garnacho be starting more games based on his recent performances? Or is his best role coming off the bench to change games? Let us know your thoughts. Look, let's wrap this up. Chelsea traveled thousands of miles to Azerbaijan expecting 3 points and came away with 1. The performance was poor. The defensive errors were costly, and the team selection was questionable at best. But here's the thing. Sometimes you need a reality check. Sometimes you need a match like this to remind you that in football, especially in the Champions League, you can't take anything for granted. Every opponent deserves respect. Every match requires your full attention and your best effort. Both teams now have 7 points from their opening 4 matches, which keeps Chelsea in decent shape for qualification. But if they want to finish in the top 8 and avoid the playoff round in February, they need to be much better than what we saw in Baku. The positive news? Estevao looks like a generational talent. Garnacho proved he can be a game changer, and despite all the rotation and chaos, Chelsea still managed to avoid defeat. The concerning news? The injury crisis continues with Lavia. Hato looked completely out of his depth, and Maresca's rotation strategy might need a serious rethink. The next few matches will tell us a lot about this Chelsea team. Can they bounce back? Can they learn from this experience? Can they show the consistency needed to compete at the highest level? Only time will tell, folks.